Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving.
And actually, happy Black Friday, because
Yeah,
Thanksgiving has
that's,
passed,
yeah,
technically,
true. Okay.
by the time you're listening to this.
Now you're just eating leftovers.
Now you're just eating leftovers. Are you
So
sure you
exciting.
know what are in those leftovers? Are
Yeah,
you sure?
today
You
might
know.
make you question.
Yeah, you may not want that turkey cran sandwich anymore after this.
Ew, yuck.
Ah, God. Well,
Anyway,
we are just rapidly descending into the end of the year. Um, Welcome back from 2 weeks off. We have 2 more weeks off coming up right after this. So you're getting a little taste, a little amuse bouche before our Christmas scary stories. And then yeah, a couple more episodes, and then we'll be back in the new year. So you're just getting little drips and drops, little dibs and
yeah,
dabs
we'll leave you
of
wanting.
us. We're leaving you wanting. You know what?
Hmm.
Yeah, distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yes,
So miss
exactly.
us, would
Hmm.
you? Miss us.
Please do.
Please miss us. Okay, should we just get into it?
Hmm. I'm ready.
Okay, beautiful. We have some Thanksgiving themed, some not Thanksgiving themed, so just roll with it. All right, this is from Me So Scared.
I love that.
And this is titled, oh my god, what is that floating? Sorry, that's not the title.
A spirit. Oh my
That was so
gosh.
weird. It must be something from the candle I just lit, but it was like, I don't know, and it's gone. That was so weird.
It's the spirit of Thanksgiving.
Pretty much exiting my body, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, this is called I Shouldn't Have Looked Out My Window Last Night. My name is Ryan Bowman, and I'm here to see if anyone might be able to help me out. From what people in my area say about this thing, which isn't much, I don't think the police will be of much assistance. I recently moved to a small town in central Michigan. I won't give the exact name of the town due to obvious reasons, but let me tell you, it's tiny. Less than 600 people here. Exactly what I've been looking for, to be honest. I wanted a change from the busy life in Grand Rapids, so made the hour-long move to the country. Everything started out great. I started renting my 3-bedroom house with a garage and 6 acres included on the property. I could see my nearest neighbor, but they're far enough away that I could literally scream at the top of my lungs and they might just barely hear me, which is relevant to the story because if whatever's been stalking outside my bedroom window at night breaks in, I'm kind of screwed. No one will hear me screaming for help from inside my home, that's for sure. Not that it would do me any good, because the people in this town know about it and they just somehow ignore it. We don't talk about him, don't call him out, don't talk to him, don't even look at him. That's how you end up missing, the older gentleman at the bar told me when I asked about strange humming noises at night. That was last week, he told me that, and so far I've taken his advice. That is, until last night. It was an accident, but either way, I saw him. I had gone to bed early last night. Thanksgiving dinner at my mom's left me drained. Combine that with an hour-long drive and you can imagine how tired I was. Once I got home, I didn't even get dressed in my pajamas. I just got into bed, popped on a movie. Normally I don't smoke inside my house, but today was an exception. No way in my tired state of mind was I going to go out to the porch to smoke, especially after the warning the old man had given me. Instead, I opened my bedroom window to let the smoke escape and enjoyed my smoke. Not long after, I passed out into a peaceful sleep. Thump. Something woke me later in the night, and I sat up in a panic. I was also freezing, and a quick glance towards my window revealed I had left it open while smoking. I wrapped myself in blankets and walked over to the window to close it, and just as I grabbed the window to close it, the humming started. I froze instantly, goosebumps forming all over my body, and before I had a chance to react, a face pressed up against the screen on my window. Now, if that isn't scary enough, it's important to know that my bedroom is on the 2nd floor. I couldn't make out much facial features due to how dark it was, but from what I could tell, his mouth hung open loosely, almost like his jaw was broken. His head looked to be about average size, other than the fact that it was just too long. I snapped out of my state of horror and slammed the window shut. Instantly, the face dropped out of sight, as if however he had been holding himself up had given out and he'd tumbled back to the ground. I heard a loud thud as his body hit the ground. I stood in complete shock, not knowing what the hell I'd just seen. I was beyond terrified. How the fuck did a guy just peek into my second-story window? The voice of the old man replayed in my head, and my fear kicked up a notch. The humming outside picked back up, but this time more frantic, like he was excited. 3 loud knocks rang throughout my house. The humming now sounded so loud, like it was coming from right outside my bedroom door. This time, it was on my bedroom door. My heart started to pound so hard I thought I was going to pass out. How the fuck did he get inside my house with locked doors, up my stairs, at my bedroom door, all in the matter of seconds? I did the only thing I could think of and scrambled under my bed. It was the only place I could think of to hide in such a short time. And almost as soon as I crawled under, the springs on my bed slowly began to sink down onto my back. He was sitting on my bed. I laid as still as possible and tried to contain my breathing, which wasn't easy considering I was on the verge of fainting from fear. He started humming again, and God, did it sound so wrong up this close. The springs on my bed started to press harder into my back as he began to move towards the edge of the bed. I looked up and saw dirty fingers wrap around the edge of the bed. I saw his ratty hair start to dangle over the edge as he started to lean over. I slammed my eyes shut and started to pray. I did not want to see whatever this thing looked like up close. "One look, Ryan," his raspy voice hissed. I ignored him and kept my eyes slammed shut. Something told me that was the only thing keeping me alive. His rotten breath hit me in waves, causing my gag reflex to hit. He started to half chuckle, half hum. I never had to fight back tears as hard as I did in that moment. He sat there for probably 15 minutes, humming just inches from my face. I was beyond relieved when the pressure of the bed lifted and the smell faded. I could just tell by the atmosphere in my room that he'd left. Still, I stayed under the bed, my eyes shut firmly. I stayed that way all the way until sunlight filled my room, and only then did I come out. I was incredibly tired as I hadn't slept all night, and I decided I'd get a quick nap, then head to town to ask more about this freaky humming man. I woke up in a panic when I'd seen it was already dark outside. I checked my phone, and it said 6 p.m. I can already hear the humming outside, and I'm too terrified to try and leave, for fear that I'll run into him. I called the police, and you know what they said to me? They said, "Don't look at him. Whatever you do, just don't look." So I'm now completely on my own to deal with this monster. If anyone has any idea what the fuck this is or what I can do to make it leave, please help me.
Scary Ryan.
That's very scary. One look, Ryan.
Yikes. What
Scary.
is it?
I don't know. Nothing good. Yeah, I guess. That's true. It is like kind of a Medusa style story. Moving right along. So this next one is by Chewing Skin. Gross.
Ew.
Gross.
Don't like that.
Don't like that. And this is titled, "My Grandma Lived Under the House." Now, before you read these moments from my life, I'd like to apologize for the language, but I'm trying to recall it from exact detail. During the months of June, July, and August, I spent many hot summers of my childhood at my grandmother's house, further west on the island of Cape Breton. The forest was plentiful, the plains were a vibrant green, and my grandmother's house was a rickety old 2-story that was built sometime in the 50s and looked honestly like it didn't belong. Despite its shortcomings, my childhood summers spent here were some of the best I ever had. There were no other children to play with for the next few miles towards town, but I made my own fun running through the fields of grass and smelling flowers in Grandma's garden. I can still recall the smell of my Nana's butterscotch muffins wafting through an open window, sweet and heavenly and beckoning me inside. I can still remember the sound of cicadas and a warm breeze brushing my skin. I can still remember my grandma's face watching me from underneath the porch step, smiling with all her teeth and calling me to come inside. There were a lot of rules at my grandma's house. Like no running inside the house.
Weird.
Just wait. There were a lot of rules at my grandma's house, like no running inside the house with my shoes on and not playing in the garden. Some of them didn't make sense to me, like locking the windows and doors before bed, even though we lived miles from society. Turning off the television at 8 and being in bed by 9 was the worst on a night with no school. There were even unspoken rules, ones that I didn't really ask my grandma about. Things like not sleeping with our arms or legs off the bed. Things like checking the windows and doors twice. Things like not pulling the shower curtain all the way closed, or hiding under beds and in closets, or pulling the cord to the attic off the nail it was wrapped around. Though some things were odd, my grandma was a very well-liked woman. She was lithe and her hair was long, shining a bright silver that looked like it reflected the moonlight. While she usually kept her hair up in a tight bun, making the frown lines on her face prominent, when her hair was down, she could have been called beautiful. When my grandpa was alive, he would call her a silver fox, as once she was young and beautiful and quick-tempered, but she was the only one that could say something witty and clever to one of my grandpa's quips. Age made her soften herself. Her children made her emotional. My grandpa passing away made her sad and a little distant, but never once did I question her love for me. Grandpa spent a lot of time out west, so his visits home were rare but wonderful. My grandma used to say she liked having me around when he was gone during the summer because it made her feel useful. I guess now that I look back on it, my Nana was lonely. I will try to detail the events that happened chronologically, but I was little and honestly blacked out a lot of my childhood here with good reason. My grandma lived under the house. I never saw her go to bed once. I never thought too much about it, as I was a big kid that could sleep in a bed alone, with my covers tucked around me and my fingers and toes tucked safely away from the edge of the bed. There were quite a few times, though, that she would visit me from the window, standing in her garden bed to whisper things to me from behind the glass. My grandma's face was pressed up against the window pane, smiling with all of her teeth, her hands cupped around her face to see inside a little better. I never questioned it, because why would I? I was just a kid with a silly grandma. There was really nothing else to it. "Sweetie, can you open the door for me? I'm a little chilly out here," she told me once, her lips moving just slightly to sound out the words she spoke from behind the glass. The window was up high enough that I would see just above her collarbone, but I could see that she wasn't wearing anything. I laughed a childish laugh, and I responded with something like, "That's silly, Grandma. You have a key to get inside. Come in before you get cold." My grandma wouldn't respond after this, but her smile would never waver, not for even a second. She was still standing in what would have been my Nana's garden, one of the things my grandma wouldn't let me do. Though she wouldn't say anything directly to me, every time I turned away from the window, I could hear her whisper things to me. I couldn't make it out, and I thought it could have been just nonsense. I didn't turn around to face her. I was really uncomfortable with facing her for some reason, and I would lay in bed, listening to her mumble incoherent things until I'd fall asleep, and it became like a routine. I would listen to her whisper softly until I slept, and by the morning she would be in the kitchen, making breakfast and pretending like nothing happened. My grandma would call me silly when I tried to confront her about it, and told me I had a vivid imagination in the way adults tell kids that. I never really brought anything up to her after this. I guess it was like a bit of a game between us. Every couple of nights, though, my grandma would come to the window and tell me to let her inside. Sometimes she would tell me that I was a good kid. Sometimes she would tell me that I was a bad child. Once and only once did I see her smile drift from her face. She'd been pestering me every night since she had started this game between us. I would ask her, beg her, plead her to just go away and let me sleep, that I was too tired to play and I didn't want to anymore. It wasn't until I got aggravated enough to yell at her that she left me alone for a few days, but not very long. "I already told you I don't want to play anymore. Just come inside yourself and go to sleep." Her smile turned into a frown, but the look in her eyes made me uncomfortable. She didn't whisper to me that night, but every few moments I would turn around and find her watching me, frowning and glaring. I don't know how I managed to fall asleep, but I do remember waking up to the smell of bacon on the frying pan and the sound of my grandma humming a song. One night, I decided to purposefully unlock the door. I waited until my Nana went to bed to creep across the cold floor, unhook the latches from the front door, and ran to my room to wait under the covers for my grandma to finally give the game up. She didn't come to the window that night. She came through my bedroom door. I could hear her get on all fours. I could hear her shuffle across the floor. I could hear her crawl under my bed. And that night, I heard her whispering from underneath my mattress, with my ear pressed up against the bed and the covers pulled over my head. I'm hungry. I'm so hungry I can smell you. I shifted on the bed, with my back facing the wall and the window. I didn't want to play this game anymore. I can smell your fucking liver. The helplessness of knowing there was no one I could call to wake me up from this bad dream was a feeling I'd never like to experience again. I'm going to crawl into your insides, you little bag of shit. I can't tell you what she continued to whisper to me from under the mattress. I blocked out a lot of it, curled myself into my blankets, and made sure there were no parts sticking out before I slept. I can tell you that when I opened my eyes a crack, peered out from my blankets, I could see my grandma's eyes watching me from the bottom of my bed. I don't know how long I laid there, paralyzed with fear, but I did fall asleep and managed to wake up the next day without my Nana watching me from under the bed. If she noticed the unlatched door, she didn't say anything. The look she gave me was a curious side eye as she put eggs on my plate. I can tell I broke her heart a little when I asked to go home. From that night on to the next few nights before I went home, I made sure the door was locked twice. She visited me repeatedly until I left. I didn't look at the house getting smaller in the rearview mirror, feeling like if I did, I might have seen her watching me back. And I didn't go back to that house over the summertime. My grandma came to visit me quite a few times at my house, but there was nothing out of the ordinary as far as I can tell. The nightly visits were over, and a few years after that, my grandpa was diagnosed with late-stage Alzheimer's. My grandma and grandpa were two of the most in-love people that you could have met, without being overly showy about it. My grandpa's sneaky kisses behind the back of grandkids and the smile on my grandma's face when he would ask her for coffee was proof. I could see the pain on her face when she would talk about how he forgot her name again that day or couldn't remember the name of his kids. I watched my grandma suffer through my grandpa's disease as he slipped, and finally slipped away. My grandma died a while after that, hooked up to hospital tubes and being sassy to nurses, of course. Thankfully, she never had to experience the deterioration of her mind as Alzheimer's took her away from us. My grandma was spry, beautiful, clever, and a little weird. It wasn't until we went back to clean her things from the house that I asked my mom about it. She told me a lot of things that I wouldn't have been told as a child. She told me my grandpa was a war veteran who married a much, much younger girl who worked at a flower shop. They lived in poverty for most of their lives, and when he couldn't afford an engagement ring, he built her a house with his own 2 hands instead. What a time to be alive, let me just say. I asked her, that's something. I asked her in the middle of this about my childhood. I didn't mention the things I'd experienced. I felt like she, too, would have given me a flippant wave and some spiel about my imagination as a kid. Your grandma was a little superstitious. For a short time, we thought she might have been getting Alzheimer's herself. My mother sighed as she tucked photographs into a cardboard box. There were just little things, like not remembering where she put her keys, forgetting about doing things in her garden, just little things. Suddenly, I felt like there was a weight lifted off my chest. That could have very well been the explanation for the oddities and weirdness. I felt kind of rude for saying it out loud myself. My mother got me to help her pack boxes into the back of her car, ready to start moving out her things from the house and let it become an abandoned shack in the middle of nowhere, I guess. When we finished packing, I hopped in the passenger seat, lit up a smoke, and looked back to give one final farewell to the place where I spent a lot of time with my favorite grandma in the world. The thing is, as we were driving back home, why did I see her watching me from underneath the step with a smile on her face and far too many teeth?
Oh, too many teeth?
Like this, Amy.
Don't do it.
Don't. No.
No, not Grandma.
Not Grandma.
That's scary.
I know.
What is going on with Grandma?
It's a mimic, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's...
A demonic mimic who wants to eat this poor boy.
Yikes. His liver. Ew.
I know. Very ew.
Very specific.
Very specific.
Yeah. Put that on the Thanksgiving table.
Ooh. Gross.
Yeah.
Okay, I've done 2. I have 2 more. Do you want to go? And then I'll finish.
Sure. Yeah. Let's
Excellent.
be a sandwich.
A sandwich. An Amy sandwich. My favorite kind.
Okay, so I went off the rails.
Okay, love it.
I don't know why I was being like really particular about what I don't know, I just wasn't inspired by the Thanksgiving stories
That's
that I
okay.
found. So
I feel like this is new that we've started doing them like themed by the holiday versus
Right.
just random stories. So I'm completely aligned with that.
Yes. Yeah. So I was thinking I would continue that one series, but then I had another idea. The one with the like grandpa who was a police officer, or no, a detective, but had a different idea.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, were there any ghost stories from like early colonial times, like ones that would have
That's good.
coincided with the first Thanksgiving?
Okay.
And I came across one story. It was published later than the first Thanksgiving. That happened in 1621. But the story I found was published in 1698. And it's about events that occurred in 1682. I feel like that's close enough.
Yeah, close enough. I'm into it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So this story is called Lithobolia, or the stone-throwing devil.
Oh.
So the author is Richard Chamberlain, and according to him, this is a true account of events that occurred while he was visiting the home of George Walton and his family. So the exact description he wrote is Lithobolia, or the stone throwing devil, being an exact and true account by way of journal of the various actions of infernal spirits or devils incarnate, witches, or both, and the great disturbance and amazement they gave to George Walton's family at a place called Great Island in the province of New Hampshire in New England, by R.C. Esquire, who was a visitor in the same family the whole time and an ocular witness of these diabolic inventions.
An ocular witness.
Yeah, I seen it.
I seen it with my own eyes.
So you might be able to tell that's in like Old English. I don't know if that's actually Old English, older English, and
sounds convincing.
Yeah, it's long. So I have edited it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm also mostly going to summarize rather than read. So here we go. The first thing that happened was on a Sunday night around 10 p.m., George Walton came home from inspecting a damaged gate on his neighbor's property. Suddenly, stones began pelting his house, striking the roof, the walls, and the doors from unseen hands.
Classic.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, I just realized I kind of look like a pilgrim.
And your headphones
don't
are
I?
on it.
Yes.
A little.
So just button this
all the way to the top, just for this story.
Just for this story.
Yeah, you can act it out. Perfect. I love it. It's cute. She's our pilgrim.
Stupid. So stupid.
Yeah, well, now you're like immersed in this story.
I'm immersed.
So,
I'm fully immersed. Okay, wait, is this a story or did this happen?
Remains
it's
to be
for us to decide. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, stones are pelting the house. The family and the guests, including the author, search outside under a bright moon, but found no one throwing the stones. They are large stones, some as big as a fist, and they come flying onto the porch and into the rooms, rebounding from the walls and even falling inside closed chambers, he wrote. I think meaning like in their bedrooms.
How does that happen?
Well, because it starts coming down the chimney and stuff. So it's like coming from everywhere. On this first night, two of the boys, the sons, were lightly struck by stones, No one was seriously injured yet. So now it started with hitting the outside. Things start falling down the chimney. Now rocks are like flying through the house. They say it happened for 4 hours straight. And things were
Jesus.
just, yeah, like bouncing off the walls. The windows shattered, but interestingly, the glass and like the lead panes were blown outward. So it's as if the impact came from inside the house, like pushing it out, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then their dishes, their brass pots, and candlesticks were getting knocked off the table and sometimes also hurled across the room. They started trying to gather some of the stones like into piles because they wanted to see like, are these coming from around here? What's happening? And they found that some of them were red hot, as if they had come directly from the fire. So when they were making these piles of stones, they also would notice that they'd make their pile, and then a few of them would vanish mysteriously whenever they turned their back on the pile. So after those 4 hours, things slowed down a little bit. They try to go to bed. The author, though, he says that after he was laying there for a little while, his bedroom walls and doors get violently struck as if by a hammer. Then, suddenly, a stone weighing 8.5 pounds burst open his chamber door.
Oh my gosh.
At the same time, a brick flew from the nearby chimney and hit the floor, broke in two, leaving visible dust and marks. So that's all Sunday night. The next morning, yeah, so we're on Monday now. Objects such as the spit, like that they have over their hearth, and also a iron that they have for their clothes, were seen moving on their own, vanishing, and then reappearing in odd places. For example, the spit came shooting down the chimney and landed amongst the logs in the fireplace. So it's full daylight now on Monday. They have the clergyman, Mr. Woodbridge, come, and he also sees the stones flying through the air, this time in the fields outside of the house, and again without any visible thrower. This is obviously gathering other attention as well. So a neighbor woman comes by and she's skeptical. She says, this family has sons. It's obviously just boys messing around. But
boys.
as, just like destroying their home and yeah. But as she said that out loud, her young son, who was with her, was struck in the back of the head by a stone that made him cry. Yeah. And then they start to see a black cat darting about during the disturbances.
I too see a black cat darting about.
During disturbances in the home. And so they're like, this is the witch's familiar, obviously. Of
course.
So they try shooting at it, and it seems to vanish and then reappear at a further distance. Interesting.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Escape.
Survival instinct.
Yeah.
So now we're on to the nighttime again, Monday and Tuesday night. The stones continue. Now they're also hearing whistling and trampling sounds, like a horse walking by the windows, but again, seeing nothing. Now, other objects go flying around too. A wooden mallet, a mortar, and even bricks are getting thrown. The author of this story says he was personally struck by 20 to 30 stones, some thrown really hard, some softly, as if gently tossed into my lap. The children are scared, things are thumping around, and then they hear knocking sounds, which we know what that means.
Yeah. Demons!
For a demon.
Jesus.
And it said sometimes in patterns of 3 or 5 echoing through the walls. So, yeah. And like the list just keeps going on. This is like on a farm, so they have workers who help them in the fields. They're getting pelted with stones now. And also, the stones are sometimes being thrown so hard that like the plants are getting damaged, torn out of the ground. So Mr. Walton, George Walton, he is like, what do I do? He starts going around looking for help. And on one occasion, when he was traveling by boat, he found that somebody had removed the plug from the hull of the boat, so he was sinking. And the author claims that this was part of it. He said, this was the contrivance of the old serpent and the old woman. And my interpretation of that is devil and witch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure.
And then he has objects with him in the boat that just get thrown into the river. So, things are not going well.
This demon's just like, fuck you and your shit.
Yeah, I know. Just everything.
Fuck your crops, fuck your house, your kids. Fuck you, guy.
Yeah. Yep, I hate you. And so another bizarre thing that happened is one time they came in and it was like the table was set, but it was set with like pots rather than dishes. So it was like a mock table setting. And on the plates there was like cheeses that were broken apart. And all the furniture was turned over, so like the stools were upside down. Really strange.
So the demon likes cheese and wants to stand.
Yes, exactly. So now they're trying to get rid of it, obviously. So they follow a common English folk charm where the family boils urine mixed with bent pins, and that's said to harm the witch that's believed responsible. So smells
Binks
great.
Doesn't buy
it. Yeah, no. And each time that they try this, because they do it a few times, when it begins to heat up, stones come flying out of nowhere and break the pot.
Of course.
So this goes on July through August. It gets gradually better, but then on August 4th through 9th, it's like renewed again. The stones are flying. They break farm equipment, bruising workers. Mrs. Walton gets injured. And so the attacks finally end, though, in early September when George Walton is traveling to Portsmouth for like a hearing about these events.
Whoa.
He gets struck by 3 stones, and one fractured his skull. And tragically, he died from this.
Oh my God.
It's sad and so scary.
Yeah, that's like actually genuinely scary.
Yep. Yeah. And so, yeah, he passed away from that. And the author said, this is the final act of the diabolical agent. So
it was after him. Like, it wasn't after anyone else. It was after him.
Seemingly, yeah. Which is kind of like the Bell Witch. Like, the Bell Witch was affecting the whole family, but once the dad died, it was over.
It was done.
Yeah. So, similar thing.
Interesting.
But his conclusion, like the moral that he gives at the end, is he says, only the willful blindness of skeptics could deny the truth of demons and witches after such events. The proof is, witches and spirits are real. Christian faith requires belief in them, and disbelief is both irrational and impious. So.
Slay.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's religious to believe in everything we believe in.
Yes, exactly. According to Richard. So,
yeah, honestly,
what do you think?
I'm here for it. I mean, this sounds real. Like, this sounds like a historical account of something that happened.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a poltergeist to me.
Yeah.
But I think...
Weird that it doesn't get more airtime, I guess.
Yeah, I know, that's true. Because, yeah, I had never heard of it before. But they think that... So it could be true. But they also think that at this time, because this was published when he went back to England, and at the time, the colonies were still like this foreign, almost like mystical
Oh,
place.
trying to scare people
And
from going.
maybe that, and also that it was just really popular for people to hear these like sensational stories.
Yeah.
And so maybe he was capitalizing on the popularity of that.
Yeah.
This was
It just,
also...
okay, here's my thing though, is it's like, if you're gonna make up a story about something like this, like make it more exciting.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's scary, but it's
Yeah.
like kind of dull
Yeah.
compared to like if you're gonna make something up. Like
Right.
do it with your chest. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Ow,
Yeah.
Binks.
Oh,
Binks is just biting me.
Oh, ow. That was like kind of hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
Why are
Bubba.
you doing that?
He wants dinner. You've got
It's
shit in your
so
face.
early, Binks.
It's so
like
early.
4
You have to wait
o'clock.
another hour. He gets dinner at 5, and he knows when it's soon.
Yeah. Is
Okay,
daylight
get-
savings affecting him?
It was, that's for sure. Oh, he's
Yeah.
mad at me now.
Oh, Binks. Just relax. Uh-oh. It's a little scary.
It's so scary.
Don't get close to the face.
In the middle of the night, sometimes he just loses his mind, and he gets what we call bobas. He gets boba eyes,
Oh.
and it's all pupil. Like, there's like no green. There's like a
Ew.
tiny ring of green. It's so terrifying to see in the middle of the night because they're reflective. And he just goes on the offensive. And you're in a dead ass sleep. And he's
Yeah.
just like smacking you and stuff. And you're like, ooh, this is not how I
What
wanted
did
to
I
wake up.
do? No.
Yeah, you're like, my cortisol's spiking. You're terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've got 2 more stories to read, Bubba, and then you get dinner. Go on.
Yeah. It's almost...
Oh my god, yeah. I don't know. I think that's very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna tell a story, I'm gonna tell a story that's like, you're gonna shit your pants. It's
Yeah.
made up.
Right.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
removing my pilgrim garb.
Pilgrim. I guess it could be like they were less exposed to things than we
That's
are. Maybe
true. So that could have
is
been really scary.
terrifying. Yeah.
Well, and it is. I mean, it is. I mean, if it actually happened to me, it'd be
Yes.
terrifying. It's like
Right.
not, it's scary to think about, but it's not like so scary to read. But then again, like
Yeah.
I've seen Insidious, you know?
Yeah, and the Pilgrims certainly had not.
Had
so.
not. Yeah, definitely had not.
Yeah, but I guess the other theory was that after the Salem witch trials, because that was so kind of traumatic, people were starting to move toward a more skeptical outlook. And maybe for whatever
Makes
reason,
sense.
Richard was like, no. And he
No.
wanted to keep that part of their religion that had formerly
Yeah.
been so
Yeah,
prominent. But I don't know. I think it's...
I buy it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it could
I
have
buy it.
happened. Or
Seems like it to me.
he could be a storyteller.
Yeah. Either way, I'm into it.
And he insisted
All right,
it
well-
was real. So, whatever.
I buy it, Richard. I'm in.
Yep. Yeah.
You convinced me.
That's
All right,
it for me.
kids. 2 more stories, both Thanksgiving themed. Here we go.
Perfect.
This is from Weird Bryce Guy, and it is titled, I had the weirdest dream during my Thanksgiving turkey coma. I had just finished off my 3rd plate of Thanksgiving food, and I was laying on my back in bed, waiting to fall into a blissful food coma. My mind was clear, my fan was on, and had been on since the morning. I don't bother turning it off these days. Aside from the whir of the fan, my room was quiet, my dog snoozing at the foot of my bed, my computer asleep, my PS4 in rest mode. My phone was on my wireless charger beside my bed, all its sounds turned off, save the alarm for work. Just when I felt myself fading, I heard, clear as day, "Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please hang up and try again." I bolted upright, instantly awake, and peered around my room. The automated message sounded so close, as if it had played inside my head. But when I looked around, there wasn't anything unfamiliar in the room, only the usual immobile, utterly lifeless shapes. My dog rested calmly at my feet. He clearly didn't hear the message. I said, "Hang up the fucking phone." The voice, deeply modulated, screamed the demand, and this time it definitely sounded like it came from within my skull. The words reverberated inside my head, sending shivers throughout my body. Panicking, I rolled over and fell off my bed. I landed hard, and the haphazard impact worsened the sonic pounding in my head. Dazed, I scrambled to my feet and saw, lying in the depression of my mattress where I'd been only a moment before, a shadowy man-shaped figure. Though it was faceless, it turned to me, and with an added tone of irritation and its already abysmal voice, it said, "I don't want you making any calls while I'm trying to sleep. Shut off that brain of yours. It's too late to be thinking things. Hang it up!" I was immediately, immovably petrified by the utter shock of the moment. My fear-stiffened legs would not obey my brain's uselessly insistent commands to move. The best I was able to do was flex my fingers and blink my eyes. Meanwhile, the figure stared at me expectantly, simmering darkly in its pitch-black flesh. At the foot of my bed, my dog slumbered away, oblivious to his master's imminent doom at the hands of this nightmarish presence. When, by virtue of remaining unwillingly conscious, I failed to comply, the entity sat up from my bed. With a thickly muscled arm, from which plumed vaporous shadows, it reached up and seized me by the throat. "If you won't turn it off, I will." The darkness of its body then flowed toward mine. Its skin peeled away from its form, leaving nothing behind, and began sliding over my own. Inch by inch, second by second, the nocturnal being unmade itself. If I hadn't been paralyzed before, then the transference of its blackly spectral skin would have instantly ensnared me. There was a pressure in the dark absorption, an implacable or implacable bodily seizing. Yeah, but now I'm sorry. I gotta find out.
Implacable? I've never heard that word before. Unable to be placated? So implacable?
Yeah. Implacable? Implacable. No, it's implacable. Okay. I was right the first time. There was a pressure in the dark absorption and implacable bodily seizing. I was slowly being mummified in wraps of shadow and night. When I felt the darkness enter me, begin to reach its invasive tendrils towards my brain, I ascended to a new height of panic and regained a little of my movement in the subsequent dump of adrenaline. As my brain was tickled by the malignantly sedative fingers of the specter. His vocab is so good, but I'm just stumbling over it. I fought to pull away the outer layer of its being from my body. In response to my sudden resistance, it increased the intensity of its probing, and I began to sway, losing control over myself. My vision started to blur, and my strength was immediately sapped. Weakly, I tried to move toward my dog, hoping to wake him, hoping he could claw and bite away the tenebrous coating. Tenebrous? Wow. Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
But before I could reach him, and due to the stifling murk, unable to try and call out, I fell onto my bed and my vision went dark as the umbral entity sank its black fangs into my mind. I woke up, still lying in my bed, unburdened by darkness. There was no shell or cover of molten shadows, no invasive tentacles of dark. It had all just been a dream. The shadowy figure, the intracranial shouting, the bodily possession, the unreal suggestion that my thoughts were somehow audible and therefore disruptive to eldritch horrors attempting to sleep. A few breathless moments passed, and then I heard the message again. The same volume, the same unexplainably close proximity, the same infernally deep voice. I fought back tears, tried to peer deeper into the shadows to discern some alien object or person. I saw only the perfectly still, although irreparably crooked length of my lamp, my empty chair, my sturdy desk. I sat up, dreading to find the sentient shadow form beneath me, but only saw my sweat-soaked sheets and my body's lingering depression in the mattress. My dog, the heaviest sleeper in the animal kingdom, snored peacefully at my feet. There was no one in sight. Nothing lurked within the scope of my vision. And just when I was about to muster up the courage to get out of bed and turn on the lights, I heard, in a surprisingly human voice, "Hey, so this is really awkward, but I don't think I'm typing the right number. Is it a 7 or a 9 at the end? And is the area code 636 or 314? I'm trying to do the call is coming from inside the house thing. I even have this demonic voice changer, and well, this is really embarrassing. I'm sorry. House invasions have been really boring lately, and even with a little torture, so I just thought I'd spice things up a bit, add a little supernatural spookiness to my repertoire." Absent-mindedly, I gave the voice the proper area code and ending digit, and then, realizing what was happening, screamed. Thankfully, my dog heard that, and after assessing the situation with his acute canine instincts, he dashed under the bed and sent the intruder pathetically scurrying out the other side. Ignoring me, the masked man, lethally armed with some sort of curved blade and other instruments of torture in his belt, fumbled around the bed, fled screaming out of my room, and after receiving a few motivating nips from my dog, ran out of my house and into the night. Returning to my room, my dog sniffed under the bed to confirm that there weren't any other intruders hiding beneath it, and then climbed back on. He licked my hand and resettled himself in his little blanket nest at my feet. Now comfortably assured that I was finally safe and would continue to be thanks to my pup, I quickly fell back asleep.
Wow.
What a ride.
Scary. Yeah. No, I did not expect that at the end.
I didn't either. Nope.
Wow. Spooky.
All right. We've got one more. Saved the nastiest for last.
I feel like I can guess what's gonna
Just
happen.
you wait. Okay. This is from That Really Short Chick, and it is titled, "My roommate invited me to her family's Thanksgiving dinner. I almost didn't make it out alive." My roommate Paulette had become one of my best friends over the few months that we shared our college dorm. She had helped me to come out of my shell a little bit, inviting me to any get-togethers she went to, and even forcing me to some if I was hard-headed about getting out for some fresh air. She had made me feel welcome and wanted, honestly, which is something I didn't experience much growing up as an orphan who'd hopped from foster home to foster home. I never had any biological family reach out to me or made any connections with the families I had briefly lived with, so feeling welcome was something I'd always craved. I wasn't shocked whenever she invited me to her family's Thanksgiving dinner. She'd been telling her family about me for a while, even having phone calls where she'd put me on speaker and have them talk to me, something I was always pretty awkward about. They did really sound like nice people, though, and I knew that if I stayed at the dorm, I would just be sad thinking about everyone else getting to spend time with their families. I thought it would be a nice distraction, even though I knew I'd probably spend the whole time making awkward small talk. So, Paulette and I piled into her Toyota Camry and headed towards her house. They lived about an hour away in a tiny little town that had barely anything, most of it adorned by back roads and full of pine trees. It was on one of these back roads where Paulette's family had their 2-story farmhouse, which had a very cozy, homey feel to it. Although it was 2 stories, it felt cozy instead of roomy just due to how much stuff was piled into it. Kind of reminded me of the Weasley house from Harry Potter, except appearing more stable and less likely to topple over. Vintage furniture mostly filled the house, but it also had a healthy mix of newer items. The newer items mostly electronics. My favorite part of it was the huge flat screen TV that sat above the beautiful, ornate fireplace, seeming honestly so out of place. Little swirls stood out on the fireplace to resemble little puffs of smoke floating up, standing out on the brick and somehow looking delicate, even though they were made of stone. A bookshelf with books stuffed into every open inch sat beside the fireplace, looking like it was a couple books away from toppling over. A very comfy, worn-down looking couch paired with 2 matching chairs sat in front of the fireplace, waiting for visitors. We were the first 2 to sit down, and we were quickly surrounded by Paulette's other family members that gradually showed up to the occasion. Soon, the sitting area felt just as packed as the bookshelf, and I was very awkward and getting kind of claustrophobic. "What's your name, sweetie?" an older woman asked me. I looked over in the direction of her voice and almost jumped a foot out of my chair due to her strange appearance. Her wildly curly hair fought against the bobby pins she had holding it in, a strong smell of hairspray wafting from it. Her pointy glasses reminded me of Roz from Monsters, Inc., although she had a rather sweet-sounding voice compared to that character. Her lipstick was the brightest shade of red I had ever seen, and it stained the filter of the cigarette she had in her hand. Seeing how uncomfortable I was, Paulette reached over from her perch next to me and patted the woman's upper arm. "Aunt Jolene, this is my roommate Piper," she introduced. The woman nodded as she took a drag from her cigarette, making that weird, scrunched-up expression with her face that all smokers do to not release smoke into someone's face. "Honey, you are so tiny," she said. "You need to put some meat on your bones." "Don't worry," said Paulette. "I'm going to be making her plate for her." They both chuckled at this comment before switching to discussing some distant relative that they, quote, hadn't seen in forever. I kind of zoned out as they talked, trying to cover my nose from the smoke without being obvious and rude. Thankfully, it wasn't long before Paulette's mom called us all into the dining room. I had never been happier to get off of a couch. I thought the living room was adorable, but it was nothing compared to how phenomenal the dining room looked. The furniture in here was strictly vintage, mostly looking Victorian, and very intricate in its designs. The table itself took up the entirety of the room, spanning from one end to the other. Its legs and edges looked hand-carved, with the legs specifically made to look like a waterfall of roses. The chairs matched that design, along with the fireplace at the opposite end of the room. A beautiful crystal chandelier sat above the table, with crystals hanging down and twinkling as sunlight beams bounced off of them through the window. Not only was the room beautiful, but the spread of food was just as amazing and smelled absolutely delicious. Dressing, chicken and dumplings, a huge ham, a giant turkey were some of the dishes on the table. But they were far from it. A small table beside the fireplace overflowed with desserts as well. Plates, cups, and silverware waited before each chair, a huge glass of lemonade waiting to fill those cups. This room was truly something I had never seen besides similar ones that I'd seen in movies. "Well, dig in, guys," announced Paulette's mom, and everyone quickly picked a chair. My mouth was already watering, and by the time Paulette's dad began cutting into the turkey, I felt like I was practically drooling. Excited chatter around the table as everyone began filling their plates, and Paulette grabbed mine to begin filling it, just as she said she would. One of Paulette's brothers, Jared, got up from the table and placed a record on a record player that I hadn't noticed beside the dessert table. It crackled a bit as it spun around, but soon a mixture of instruments began to play, like a piano, clarinet, violin, and soon a voice began to sound from the speakers as well. "Oh, you're my honey, oh, you're my baby, oh, you're my sweet pie. My, don't you see, my little sweet treat, what you're doing to me." The lyrics were quite strange. I found myself kind of distracted from my food as I listened to the lyrics, staring at the record as it spun around and around. "Uncle Edgar used to think he could make it as a singer," said Paulette's dad as he noticed me staring, but I think his sense of humor was just a little too strange. I didn't really know what he meant by that, and no one decided to explain, so I just left it at that and turned back to my plate. "Wait, where's the special dish?" asked a young boy who I recognized from Paulette's family picture book as her little cousin Richard. I glanced around the table, finally taking the time to get a good look at everyone that I hadn't spoken to yet. There were only a few people from the picture book that I didn't see. The missing family members were quickly wiped from my mind as Paulette's mom appeared from the kitchen holding another huge dish, this one containing a kind of meat I didn't recognize. It took up the entire pan and seemed honestly hard for her to carry. Everyone quickly scrambled to move the dishes already taking up the table so that she could set the heavy load down. "What is that?" I whispered to Paulette. She started. "Pig, I think?" She shrugged, turning back to the conversation I had taken her from. Her response was sort of weird to me. A pig. Her response was weird to me, but I thought it was probably just my nerves about the whole day getting to me. I looked back at the dish as her mom started to slice into the meat, cutting thin strips off. Blood and other juices started flowing from the cuts, filling up the bottom of the pan. I've never been squeamish of blood. In fact, I've always loved my steaks a little bloody, but my nerves were making me feel really weird. Is that how pig is supposed to be prepared? I began to feel bile come up my throat as the blood continued to pour. I tried to distract myself by eating again, but I couldn't ignore the feeling of goosebumps on my arm. I glanced around the table and saw everyone else was perfectly fine, eating away or conversing with each other. Was I the only one freaking out over a pig? You know that feeling like an answer to something is on the tip of your tongue, but you can't figure out what it is that your brain is wanting you to say? It's like the memory is scratching at your brain, trying to break free, but you don't know why you can't think of it. That was how I felt, and it made a mixture with the feelings of anxiety, and that mixture totally overwhelmed me. I closed my eyes, taking deep breaths to try and calm myself. It's okay, I thought to myself, there's nothing wrong right now. You're surrounded by nice people and you have a delicious meal to finish in front of you. I slowly opened my eyes, thinking I had things under control now, until I realized my plate seemed a lot farther away than it should be. And then I remembered what my brain wanted to, the word on the tip of my tongue. Oh no, I said out loud without meaning to. Long pig. I heard Paulette ask what was wrong. I was unable to respond. Everything seemed to fade out of existence besides me and that strange meat. I heard voices asking me if I was okay over and over, but I couldn't focus on them. The only sounds that were able to break free of the walls I suddenly had around me were the lyrics still playing from the record player. You look scrumptious, oh so delicious, my sweetie sweet pea. Come on over here, oh my precious dear, and give me a little bite. I heard a muffled, "Do you want to go to the bathroom?" come from beside me. I was unable to respond, though, and a moment later I felt arms wrap around me and gently lift me. I was practically carried away out of the room, my feet somehow still able to operate, and I felt like I was floating. Everything seemed dim, the sunlight there moments before now sucked out. It felt like a total blur, but I was brought into a tiny bathroom and sat on the closed toilet. We sat there for a few minutes, me on the toilet and the person on the floor, and until I finally calmed down enough for the world to come back into focus. I realized it was Paulette sitting on the floor in front of me with her legs crossed, patiently waiting for me to be able to communicate again. "Hey, are you okay?" she asked in a soft voice. "Yeah, thank you. It's no biggie," she reassured me. "What made that happen?" I thought about my response for a while, debating if I should make something up or not because strange meat sounded like a stupid reason to have a panic attack. Why would they be eating long pig? Would she even know what that was if I told her? It took a while before I decided on telling her the truth. Well, not the long pig part, but the rest of it. "The meat gave me a weird vibe," I replied. "The pig?" she asked. I nodded and she giggled. "Oh, that's okay. I promise it was just pig. Why did it freak you out?" I shrugged. "I don't know, just a weird vibe." She nodded as well and then stood up from her position on the floor. "Are you okay enough to go back out there now?" "I think I'm just going to sit here for a bit." She nodded once more before exiting, slowly closing the door behind her. It was a few more minutes before I got up from the toilet. I figured I had been there long enough, so I splashed some water on my face before taking a few deep breaths and exiting the bathroom as well. Walking down the tiny hallway and out into the living room, I was able to notice even more details that I loved about the house. The mishmash of recent and vintage framed photos on the walls, the crazy patterned wallpaper, and random pile of shoes stashed around the front door. It all seemed so homey, something I'd never had the privilege of fully experiencing firsthand, and it made me feel safe. Even though I felt safe, old habits die hard, so when I rounded the corner to the other hall, I paused in my tracks, deciding to eavesdrop for a bit on the conversation to see how much I'd embarrassed myself. "You didn't tell us the one you were bringing was loony," I heard Aunt Jolene say. That made me frown, shocked that my suspicions had been true, that they had all seemed so friendly and inviting. "And she's skinny as all get out," I heard Jared yell. "Shh!" Paulette hushed them. "You guys are being way too loud. She was the best thing I could get." That comment confused me. What does she mean by that? Did she not actually like me? Did she view me as a bad friend? "Last year you got us a chubby one, though," whined Richard. "Shut up, Richie!" shouted Paulette. "She will taste just fine." "I don't know about that, Polly," said Paulette's dad. "The fatty ones always have more flavor." My eyes grew wide as I realized exactly what they were talking about. Uncle Edgar's weird song started playing in my head like a cruel crusade, mixing with the memory I had over and over. "And why did she say long pig?" asked Paulette's mom, reading my mind. "Did she know what the meat was?" "No," replied Paulette. "She said the meat gave her a weird feeling, but I don't think she knew what it was." "Well, we better get started before she finds out." I don't even know who said that comment. All I know is I sprinted full force to the front door. I didn't bother putting my shoes on because I could already hear them discussing, "What's that sound?" from the dining room. I jerked on the door handle to no avail, and I did the next best thing, which was to wrap my hand in the white curtain decorating the window beside the door and smash my fist through the glass until it broke. I got rid of the glass shards the best I could before hopping through, but even if I was cut, there was too much adrenaline pumping through my body to feel any pain. I didn't feel the pain in my lungs as I sprinted in the cold air or the pokey branches on the ground either. I had no idea where I was going, but I knew it had to be somewhere far away from them. It was at that moment that a ray of sunshine seemed to glide through the trees surrounding their front yard, seemingly lighting up an escape route for me. A car was at the end of that route, one of many parked ones owned by the family members on the edges of the yard. I ran to it, hoping against all hope that one of them had been stupid enough to leave their car unlocked. I tried out 3 cars with no luck and began panicking as I heard footsteps approaching, but I kept trying cars. I approached Paulette's car and looked into the interior, rushing as I could hear the person getting closer. The moment I heard Paulette scream my name as she approached, it dawned on me. She had a push-to-start car, and I hadn't seen her take her keys out of her sweater pocket since we got here. I unlocked the car and hopped in the driver's seat in seconds, having the car started and already backing up in only a few more. Paulette chased after me as the car moved, shouting something I couldn't hear. I didn't let it faze me, though, placing all of my focus on getting the hell out of there. I quickly whipped the car around and then zoomed down the long driveway, trying to get the hell out of there as fast as possible. I didn't have enough service to GPS my way out of there, so I had to go off of memory. Paulette's family tried to follow me, but with the number of twists and turns I was making out of confusion, they had trouble staying on my trail. Seeing their cars pop up randomly again and again still frightened me, though, and one time they even tried to ram Paulette's car, but by luck I made it safely back to the town. Their cars quickly disappeared, but I had no idea where. I didn't really care at that point. As long as they weren't still chasing me, I was fine. I quickly found the police station and tried to file a report. I say tried because I noticed the police officers were acting very strange when I explained where the house was. I finally asked what the problem was after they kept whispering and giving each other confused looks. "No one has lived in that house for 4 years," said one of the officers. "That's not true," I replied. "Her whole family does. I just saw them." But it was true. When we went back to the house, they were gone, along with a few of the newer items. The house was never theirs. It was just one they had been lucky enough to find to set up shop in. It was owned by a wealthy family, one they had bought to restore as a possible vacation home, but they never really checked on it because it was so far out in the country they figured no one could find it. Boy, were they wrong. I later found out that Paulette wasn't her real name, and I assumed the same for all of the rest of them. The FBI told me that they had been on the hunt for them for a while now, but with the constant name changes and moving around so frequently, they hadn't been able to stay on top of it. Paulette and her brother were the bait. They got to know people, become close with them so they could bring them back home, particularly targeting people like me who had no one else. I guess we would be more likely to be forgotten about, a missing person case swept under the rug. The FBI didn't have a definite number on how many missing person cases were their victims, but with the way they acted when discussing it, it seemed to be a very high number. I was lucky to not be added to that list. When I managed to get back to the dorm, Paulette's room had been cleaned out. The only things she had left were Uncle Edgar's record and a picture of us together that we had taken when we first met, both of which she had placed on my desk. When I flipped the picture over, I saw 2 sentences scribbled on it in Paulette's writing. "You were right. The meat was human."
Ew. Yuck. I hate it.
Happy Thanksgiving, you little freaks.
Family of cannibals.
Like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
Or they're not really related, and they're just creepy.
Like a weird band of people.
Cannibals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is long leg? Is that like
A person that's human.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a term for...
a euphemism, it says.
Yeah.
Term for human meat.
Disgusting. Very ew.
Yeah.
Very
Good way to end
gross. Yeah, exactly. Binks, can you hear him yowling this whole
Yes.
time? My God.
Yeah.
Bubba, you gotta pipe down. I also heard Dave, like, bellow something.
Oh. He was like, "I haven't heard you talking," or something. Like, thinking I was just ignoring him.
That's hilarious.
I was just listening.
Just listening. Okay, well, shit. Happy Thanksgiving, you little freaks, and we'll see you again a little before Christmas.
Happy Christmas. I can't wait.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas, Harry. Happy Christmas, Ron.
Happy Christmas, Ron.
Dumb.
Happy Thanksgiving, Harry.
Happy Thanksgiving. Well, we'll see you soon, guys, and until then, stay
Stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.